this is Lila Gosi, and today I'm going to be answering a question I got on my IG story. Do you pair any of your pieces or characters with music? I feel like this is the best possible question I could have been asked. Before we get started, I just want to thank you for clicking on the video. If you're not familiar, I am a character artist. I've been drawing for a good bit, posting on YouTube for a while, and am gradually improving the quality, topics, editing, things like that. It's a work in progress, but I'm getting there. I made a cup of tea so that my voice would be nice and crisp, and I also upgraded my setup towards a lot more comfortable for me to record, so this is all very exciting. Unfortunately, my cat Miko is very upset because I had to kick him out, but I didn't kick him out deliberately. I went downstairs, I fed him while he was eating, I made the tea, and then I ran upstairs and then I shut the door. Unfortunately, he won't be joining us today. He does snore. That was caught in the audio in my last video. It was pretty funny. But yeah, I'm gonna answer this one question. I actually have so much I can say about it, which is why this question was so perfect for me. Thank you so much for that question, by the way. And yeah, let's just get started. So when it comes to pairing music with my art, I do this so much, it feels like it should be illegal. Like, I am so easily inspired by music for my art. I don't know how I drew as a kid growing up without music. I did it somehow, but music really amplified what I do, and I gotta give credit to musicians because they contribute so much. I don't think there's a single artist that exists, a visual artist, that does not understand the importance of musicians. For me personally, the very first time I directly was inspired by a song and paired it with an artwork was when I drew Vermilion Ruse. Vermilion Ruse, I think I drew in 2019. I might have to fact check myself on that, but the song that inspired that I encountered around 2015, 2016, I believe. It was in one of the darkest times of my life, and I got this recommended song on Spotify Discover Weekly at the time, and I still use Spotify Discover Weekly to this day. That song that I paired with Vermilion Ruse is called Tell a Lie by Pharaoh, and it encapsulated what I was experiencing in this abusive relationship I was in at the time. The lyrics speak to how I was feeling, what I was going through, how desperate I was to make it work. Since that experience, it inspired and encouraged me to pair music with my art way more often as a habit. But Vermilion Ruse isn't the only artwork I've paired music with, obviously, so the reason I enjoyed this question so much is because I do tend to pair my art with music often, so I have other examples I would like to give you that sort of explain the meaning behind certain artworks. I've talked about it a little in posts before. I used to share more information, but it was a lot of work with very little interaction, so maybe doing it in a different format will make more sense. My art has also been generalized a lot of times on the internet. It's very frustrating, so maybe explaining the meanings behind them will help. So we're going to start with the next one, which is somber showers. In general, I have a list of ideas that I will write down, and since making this artwork, my process has changed slightly, but for the most part, what I'll do is have an idea written down, and then I'm like, okay, am I going to draw this? And a song always ends up becoming relevant or revealing itself at just the right time. So a lot of the time what happens is I'll, discover a song before, during, or after my art process, and it always aligns with the artwork perfectly, either the feeling, the colors, the lyrics. A lot of the time it's all three, so you can imagine how incredible that experience is. With somber showers, I'm trying to remember when it occurred. I can't remember exactly. I have a feeling it was before, and I think the reason is because with this piece I was unsure if the concept would make sense or mean anything, if it would come across as any type of feeling, or if it would be too dull or boring to understand or to appreciate. And then when I encountered the song that matches it, that I paired it with, it gave me the confidence to make the art. And the song I'm referring to is Eyes Closed by Essinger. And some of these songs, I encountered them and they were on my playlist, and they no longer are, but at that time they were super crucial to my art process. So with the song, I know the lyrics. I think it starts with, I don't feel you anymore, not sure what you're looking for, change comes creeping in, you change with every season, but I still stay the same. That matches the narrative of Somber Showers perfectly, and I'll explain why. I drew that artwork because I was in a situation where I liked this person, and the feelings were mutual but borderline unrequited because I wasn't getting what I feel I deserved from them and was very much like a placeholder for them. We were very close, but that lack of commitment really hurt my feelings. And honestly, the only reason I even stuck around was because I just wasn't sure of what the outcome would be, and I didn't want to just ditch someone who wasn't meeting the standards that I have immediately without giving them a chance. We differed on beliefs to such a degree that I was like, I can't allow them to pursue me, but at the same time, nothing was coming between us or changing the circumstance, so it was very difficult being in emotional limbo like that. So yeah, the song described how I felt. I haven't changed, but I feel like you're drifting and coming and going, and I still feel the same way about you that I have the whole time, but you sort of change your mind a lot, where 1 minute I'm super important and the next I'm not important at all. I plan on moving on with my life. I think I already had cut ties with them, and often I will address my feelings after a circumstance has happened already. So the artwork was part of me accepting it for what it was, accepting that I had cut them off and that I was moving on with my life. That's where, is it fade or change with every season, but I still stay the same. You get more and more distant. I'm who I was when you first met me, but I need to move on with my life and you're not going to be there. It was very emotional and gritty for me, and I was like, sure, maybe this girl character does not encapsulate all of the weight I was experiencing at that time, but I think it does. I was trying to make the artwork like an encounter, as if she was going to address or encounter this person for the last time and let them know that she was moving on. That was basically what the drawing was in a summary. So that was the story behind Somber Showers, and again, I have more artworks that I've paired with music that I'm going to share with you. I was checking my phone, like my Instagram account, to make sure I got the order of these right, because I do have notes down based on the order in which I drew them, and I thought I was wrong, just because sometimes my artwork will be a little more creative, a little more amplifying, and then sometimes it's a little bit more simple because I'm feeling uninspired, or I just don't have the energy to do a very elaborate concept. My cat is trying to jump up on the desk. He should go the other way. His bed is pretty much always on my desk now to my left, so he always has somewhere to sleep. I don't know why he's coming this way. He's rubbing on my hand right now. Oh my goodness, he's being so bad. No. Anyway, so I do have the order correct. Next, after Somber Showers, we're going to talk about Surge, which I've talked about many times. It's one of my personal favorite ones. The song I paired it with is Into the Dark by Kai. And when I encountered the lyrics, it just hit me. I was like, yes, this is exactly how I feel right now. And I could relay the lyrics to you, but I think I'll just put them on the screen. Some of these artworks, when I posted them on social media, specifically Instagram, I included the lyrics or some kind of visual with them. I'm gonna have to plug my Patreon here, but I actually have included a lot of the behind the scenes stuff behind making my art on Patreon. It used to be more like a digital download club, because at the time I did not have the money to get the materials to have physical rewards like prints, stickers, and stuff like that. And I have a lot of health issues, so it limits what I can accomplish, especially each month. I've talked about it on YouTube before, maybe not on a public video, maybe on like a private unlisted video specifically for patrons, but I'm very passionate about not having quickly curated art and treating it like it's a drive-through at a fast food place. I can't stand the idea of doing that. But yeah, I talk about the in-depths of my creative process on Patreon. I include images of the process. I include all the inspiration behind it, whether that be my feelings or the narrative, or even a visual key to sort of explain what inspired it or the direction I was taking it. I have even made hex palettes, like custom color palettes from my work. I'm rambling at this point, but I've made them and put them on Patreon. Some of the stuff I do is available on Gumroad. I definitely recommend checking it out, because I have color palettes and then digital coloring pages there. I didn't want that to run too long, but I share as much as I can publicly about my creative process, and the rest goes on Patreon. For Surge, I drew this because I was very distressed at the state of the world at the time. So I made this during COVID when it first hit, and I went through a deep dive into a lot of information that had come out during that time about the illegal transporting of children and the absolute horror that is. And it psychologically messed me up, and not only that, I had like nightmares for weeks, and in general I was just overwhelmed by the evil we're surrounded by all the time. And being that I'm a Christian, I see it from a biblical perspective. So what came to my mind was a specific verse. Ephesians 6:12 says, "For we wrestle not against flesh and blood, but against principalities, against powers, against the rulers of the darkness of this world, against spiritual wickedness in high places." So between that and some album art that I had found at the time on Pinterest, and the song that I encountered, which I believe I encountered after I had already finished the artwork, like like right after, I was able to create one of my more sincere pieces. That's how Surge came to be. I know it can make some people uncomfortable, but I think it's important to address the positive and negative feelings. And I'm not a huge proponent of being raw and gritty and edgy for the sake of it. I believe there has to be some kind of vulnerability behind it to give it something special, because you can be edgy and gritty all day and it be really disgusting and distasteful if it's just not done correctly. I do believe there's a limit, and some people can say that that's narrow-minded. I really don't care. Just having horror and spectacle and gore, distress for the sake of it disturbs me. So I didn't even lean that far in that direction. I just put my feelings onto another character, into a piece visually. That's how Surge came to be. I really like that one. I was a little worried about posting it, but I think it aged pretty well as far as I know. I made sure the ink swirling around that character was a specific color because I didn't want it being perceived as just a bunch of blood everywhere. I actually did try to make it a different color, but it wasn't translating well and it looked like a bunch of germs, so I had to make it more of like a pungent orangey red. It's not like pomegranate. I don't know what it is, but it is some type of orange though. But yes, I very much like that piece, and that is what inspired that one. Since Surge is one of my favorite ones, I could talk about that all day personally. I only know of one person who likes Surge as much as I do. He's right next to me. Anyway, I'll move on now though. The next art piece on the list, Dejected, it was inspired by a song. The song came after. I discovered the song after I had already made it, called Masochist featuring Mr. Fiji Ouija by Matt Van. It fit the artwork. It wasn't one I had on my personal playlist or anything. I was just trying to make a reel to present the artwork in some type of interesting way. So I was like, well, let me just find a song to go with this drawing. And I found that one and I was like, oh, okay, well, this will work. But the lyrics actually are pretty good. Dejected was mainly drawn because I was thinking about past feelings and experiences and how disappointing it was. And the lyrics talk about basically, I think, being stunted by someone emotionally. So in the song, it's saying, we could go pretty far if you wanted, but I know it's not your thing to stay in one place. That's how I felt with a specific person. The connection could be deeper if you truly wanted it to be, and if you actually cared about me, but you don't. And that hurts. It's very frustrating. So when I talk about personal feelings, most of the time I draw my character 06 to express that because it's very personal. So with that song and experience, I drew her just looking dejected. I don't like sharing vulnerable artwork like publicly because my family and friends see that. They don't say anything about it, but it just makes me concerned that they'll start to like coddle me emotionally or pity me in some type of way, and it's just personal. So it's to help me get more comfortable with sharing very personal things like that. I tend to draw my OC and then like let them see her instead of me. At least that's the point. But recently, in the past few years, but even just like this week, I got a comment online that said, you look like your art. And I'm like, I actually draw my OC and characters to look nothing like me. But I think it's kind of inevitable when you draw. You're the most familiar with your own face and features, so they sort of leak in there in some way. But that's really all that Dejected was about. To me, it was important though, so that I added that to the list. But we can move on now. Okay, last one. This was dang it. Last one I'm going to talk about is, what did I call it again? I called it Memories. Okay, I had two titles because it was two parts. You've got Memories at Dawn was the first part. Memories in Moonlight, I believe, is the second part. And initially, I was just going to draw Memories at Dawn. Then as I was finishing Memories at Dawn, I was like, it would be cool if I did a moonlit version of this. Then I encountered a song that was literally titled Moonlight/Sunrise. I was like, okay. The song Moonlight/Sunrise that I paired it with is by a band called Rope and Ladder. I really didn't think about that band name till a while after, and I actually did make a full in-depth reel on Instagram talking about the whole inspiration and the process. But Memories at Dawn was, I really wanted to experience that romance that I've seen other people experience. So this is coming off the downslope of Somber Showers and Dejected and Vermilion Ruse, all of those artworks I drew that were completely centered around my heart just being broken, and I was coming on an uptick of hope and optimism and just trying to have a good spirit about it. So I was like, let me draw a character that looks like they are being looked at from like a man's perspective, and he is like realizing his feelings for her are deep you know, and he loves her, and like he's taking a picture of her and he realizes it at this time, and it's like the sun is rising and it's all magical, stuff like that. But that's what I was inspired by, and I'm thinking, how nice would it be to be someone's muse like that? You know what I'm saying? As I finished it, I literally sat on my bedroom floor and did the moonlit version in like 15 minutes. I really don't know how I did it to this day, but somehow I did. Then that version came to be. Then I posted on social media with a lot of excitement and fanfare. Like, I'll probably include it. The original post on Instagram has like a little mini lyric video I made for it with like the song that inspired it playing, which I thought was dope. It was fun to present it that way though, because I was genuinely excited about it. And then there's another song I encountered a while later, which is more popular. It's that song Take It by Cafune. You know, I watch the moon, let it run my mood. I like that song a lot. There's just something, I love the lyrics and I like the feeling of it. That I think ties into the memories set really well. If anything, it probably fits it better, just like the vibe overall. But the first song I encountered right after making it was Moonlight slash Sunrise. So I mean, both work, both are cool. All of these artworks, they're all crucial to me as a person and in my art journey. People probably don't see them that way, but I'm not the type of artist to just draw something that's just visually pleasing and have no personal attachment to it. I don't disconnect from my work that well. If I'm drawing something, it has to be personal in some way. It is a flaw that I struggle with. That means I only draw when I'm feeling like drawing. I don't see it as a disadvantage because I think you can have some really raw, important pieces made during moments like that, but some people will see it as you need to draw more often. I think it just depends on who you are as a person. I think also a lot of my drawing impulses I got out in like high school and as a kid, so I don't feel the need to pour out new stuff all the time for that reason, especially when you get older and you realize how much of a luxury it is to perceive art, to make it, to consume it, to produce it in any way. Your mind sort of changes and you realize, yeah, it's not about having as much art as possible, it's about being the best you can be when you make it. So for me, that's just a priority. I don't prioritize entertainment or having a sketchbook filled anymore, because I used to obviously fill them a lot more quickly, but again, you become an adult and things change. I don't feel the need to constantly feed people new art all the time, especially when you take so much time to make it. And it's like, there's still other art to be appreciated. Not everything needs to be new all the time. That's really it. I thought with this question it would fill the video, so for the rest of the video I'm just gonna let you enjoy this process. This is a newer work that you're looking at. It took me a long time. First I did the first part of it on paper, as you saw, and then I did the second part digitally. The digital part took way longer. I wish people understood that depending on who you are, digital art is harder. I whipped out the traditional part because I knew I'd be blurring it, but even if I didn't, it probably would not be as time consuming and difficult as the digital part of my process anyway. I might do more stuff like that in the future. I've put a character on top of a photo before, but this time I was like, hey, let me draw both parts. And it was fun. It was a fun challenge, so maybe I'll do it again. It took forever. Like, I was very slow. But anyway, I hope you liked me answering this question. Thank you for asking it. It was only one person. It was my boyfriend. He's the one who asked it. Like, I don't know. I kept it a secret this whole time, but personally, again, I just, for the sake of sincerity, like, that's what it was. Like, in the past, I've had people answer questions, but things just change. I don't know. We go through phases. So I hope you enjoyed it. I worked really hard on it. Subscribe so you see future videos. And thanks for watching, and I will see you next time. Bye!